Hello everybody, this is OCD, and today I wanted to talk about movies. You would think with all these star-studded casts and massive budgets that these movies were built for success, but for the most part, a lot of them are disappointing. Now, they're not necessarily the worst box office draws of the year, but most of the films that I'm about to mention did disappoint. These movies were either not cultural or critical successes, and some of them just plain straight up sucked. This first film, Joker Folia Du, or Joker 2, was a failure in so many different ways, it's hard to make just one section on a video about this. Now, to get started, Joker did make around $201 million in its box office result, which is about breaking even, noting that the budget was about $190 to $200 million. Now, even though it broke even, it doesn't really mean it made any sort of profit. They still had to do a lot of different marketing ahead of time and after the fact, after the movie was already produced. So it most likely was a lot more, a couple million more at least. Now, the Joker itself was, the first movie, Joker, was pretty good. There was a lot of good cinematography, a lot of good music. The acting was spot on. Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, and the story wasn't too bad. But with Joker 2, it seemed like there was some sort of angle to sabotage the film, whether it be the director, studio, producers, or even Joaquin Phoenix not liking the movie or not liking the script. It seemed like there was some sort of hate towards the movie or some sort of purposeful sabotage to make the movie either fail to perform or just not be a good movie. This sequel picks up with Arthur Fleck in Arkham Asylum, where he and a fellow patient, Harleen Quinzel, or Lee, meet. Lee admits to Arthur that she's obsessed with the Joker, sparking a romance. The film uses a blend of musical and psychological thriller elements, which kind of annoying. The musical/dance setups really don't make any sense. They don't advance the film, and to be honest, they're just it just seems like they're just out of place. Joaquin Phoenix did great as usual, and Lady Gaga did alright. The only thing is, she seemed kind of underused in the acting aspect of it, and it seemed like they only hired her for her great voice for the musical parts of it. The only thing is, her actual part and dialogue kind of fell flat and empty. Overall, if you're a fan of the first Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, or Lady Gaga, the film might be for you. And in the future, it might end up growing on people to be one of those so bad that they're actually pretty good films. But as of right now, I would say it's pretty solidly a bad film. Next up is Argylle. Argylle is a spy thriller that follows a spy with amnesia that thinks she's a novelist until her past catches up with her. This movie stars Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Sam Rockwell, directed by Matthew Vaughn, which you would think would be a hit based on the names of the director and the star-studded cast once again. But with a budget of about $200 million, it needed about $500 million to break even. That's $500 million. Now, unfortunately, it only grasped about $96 million worldwide, less than a fifth of what it needed to break even, much less break a profit. There's a lot of things wrong with this film, like I said about the Joker. There's just too many things to put into one video. But for example, the script felt too repetitive. It felt like it was telling too much and not showing enough in the exposition. The action felt watered down and staged. Although I know it's staged, it shouldn't feel staged. The twist was not shocking. It was very obvious, and I think even in the marketing before the movie came out in one of the trailers, they showed what the twist was. The cast itself was really well casted, I guess you could say, but for example, Sam Rockwell, which is the character in the main character, one of the main characters in the movie, couldn't tell if he was a stoner, if he was some sort of killing machine, some sort of high-level fighter. You just couldn't tell. It was everywhere. And it just felt really, really slow and kind of didn't make sense. This next one is one of my favorites. Madame Web, which promised to expand Sony's Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse to new and exciting levels, followed Cassandra Webb as she tries to prevent a catastrophic event with her psychic spider powers. With Dakota Johnson as the lead and other big-name actresses attached to the film, this movie did stir up some hype. And despite the Marvel Association, when the first trailers dropped, fans already knew what they were about to get into. With an $80 million budget, it barely managed to scrape past it, grossing only $100.5 million worldwide. That's just barely above what it cost to make, and factoring marketing costs, it was definitely a box office disappointment. Borderlands was set to bring back the popular video game from the late 2000s back to life. Again, with a star-studded cast such as Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black, it did have some ingredients. The film tries to blend action, dark humor, and sci-fi adventure, and is inspired by the popular video game series, but honestly doesn't feel anything at all like the video game series. The casting did seem to be one of the biggest issues, where most of the cast either seemed too old to be there, didn't really fit in with the character, or just was simply out of place. With a production budget of $110 to $120 million, plus another $30 million give or take for advertising, Borderlands barely hit $33 million at the box office. Disappointment is an understatement for this film. And last but not least, Megalopolis. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, it's an ambitious sci-fi drama with over 4 decades in the making. It features Adam Driver and Giancarlo Esposito, set in a futuristic New York City. The film follows an architect's vision to rebuild the city as a utopia after a disaster. Facing political opposition and personal struggles, the film explores themes of ambition, love, and societal transformation. Now, this movie has 40 years in the making, and it only made $13 million globally. I think the movie was very pretentious. I think Coppola thinks he is much better as an artist as he really is, and maybe he did have that talent and skill back in the 70s where he started making all these great films, but with all this time and all this money, and personal money that he actually spent himself, it just seems like the movie came out to be a spectacular failure. As mentioned, most of the film was funded by Coppola himself, as many major studios refused to fund his ego trip and labor of love. With this film ultimately costing upwards of $120 million and earning just a measly $13 million globally upon its release, it's probably a good thing those studios refused to fund this movie. So there you have it. If these movies are anything, it shows that even with the biggest box office budgets, the biggest star-studded cast, the biggest studios, whatever it happens to be, there's never a guarantee in Hollywood or in any sort of media. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.